What if the reason manifestation doesn't work is because you're trying too hard? Not because you're lazy, and certainly not because you're negative, and not because you're doing it wrong, but because you're trying to create an emotional state that your body doesn't believe. Think about it. You're stressed about money. Your bank account is screaming one thing. Life is showing you another. And then someone tells you, just feel abundant. Really? How? How do you manufacture abundance while your nervous system is actively sounding the alarm? How do you force certainty when your body feels uncertainty? This is where so many people get stuck. And this is where everything begins to change. Most mindset work starts with a hidden assumption that if you think differently, you feel differently. And sometimes that's true. But often what happens is something else entirely. You try to force gratitude. You try to force certainty. You try to force confidence. You try to force abundance. And for a few minutes, it may work. Then reality hits. The bills, the pressure, the stress, the uncertainty. And suddenly the state disappears. So you conclude this stuff doesn't work. But what if the problem isn't the state? What if the problem is that you're trying to manufacture it? One of the most fascinating observations from Itzhak Bentov was that consciousness doesn't always need to create something new. Sometimes it simply needs to access something that already exists. That changes everything because now we're talking about imagination. We're talking about memory. Think about this. Have you ever smelled something and instantly been transported somewhere? A childhood kitchen, a family gathering, a moment you haven't thought about in years. The body responds immediately. Your heart changes, your emotions change, your state changes. Why? Because memory isn't just information, memory is experience. And experience carries emotion. Most people are trying to invent a feeling they've already lived. Let that sink in. Imagine someone standing in front of you saying, feel grateful. You might be able to think grateful thoughts, but your body may not cooperate because the nervous system isn't persuaded by words. It's persuaded by experience. This is why so many people get exhausted with manifestation practices. They aren't remembering, they're performing, trying to convince themselves, trying to override reality, trying to force emotional states that haven't been embodied. The nervous system feels the mismatch. And when there's mismatch, there's resistance. Not because you're broken, but because your body values authenticity. Here's a simple practice. Find a quiet place. Take a slow breath in, a slow breath out. Nothing complicated. Now ask yourself, when have I genuinely felt safe? Not perfect, not enlightened, not abundant, safe. Maybe it was with a grandparent, a spouse, a friend, a moment sitting on a beach, a moment after finishing something difficult. Now, don't think about it. Feel it. Notice what you saw. Notice what you heard. Notice how your body felt. Stay there for 30 seconds and then breathe. Notice what changes, because something almost always does. The nervous system begins shifting, not through force, through recognition. The body often remembers safety before the mind believes it. Let's make this practical. You're worried about money. Instead of forcing abundance, remember a time when things worked out, a time you figured it out, a time life supported you, a time you overcame something difficult. You're overwhelmed. Remember a time you felt grounded. You're uncertain. Remember a time you trusted yourself. The goal isn't pretending. The goal is reconnecting, because every one of those experiences already exists inside your nervous system. You're not creating them. You're finding them. Maybe that's the mistake so many people have been making. Trying to become someone else. Trying to generate a feeling that seems impossible. Trying to manufacture a state, when the doorway was never creation. The doorway was memory. The doorway was familiarity. The doorway was remembering what already exists inside of you. And when you learn how to access those states intentionally, your decisions change. Your nervous system changes. Your life, it begins changing. Not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped fighting yourself. And if you want help building this practice into daily life, download my free guide in the link below. 5 daily practices to regulate your nervous system. Stay with the series, because awareness is powerful. But practice is what creates transformation. And that's how you begin moving from survival to alignment.